Alright, so another video about my finger that was cut and I had to get stitches. So this I'm gonna talk about the hospital experience. Um, and basically I show up from the paramedic, walked me in and whatever else. And then I sat at this little table and they had some curtain things to block off to give people privacy. Sat there, someone took my, blood pressure or something. Then I sat there longer, and then someone else came over and asked about insurance, and applied for insurance for me, supposedly. Then another person, and the whole time, no one gave me any thing for my finger. I was wrapping my finger in a towel that I brought from the kitchen where I cut my finger. The whole entire time until near the end, someone finally gave me something to wrap it in. I also asked for water, and the person said, "Oh, we want to," whatever she said. The nurse said, she never gave me water. I had to get water after I left the hospital and went to the foyer area where people, and asked one of the receptionist people for one, and then that person went inside and got the water at the end. I'm like, what on earth? Ridiculous. I was so thirsty for like hours, just sitting there really thirsty. But finally, after waiting all this time, they finally did the x-ray to make sure there's no glass. Then after they did that, I ended up waiting even more, probably 25 minutes maybe, I felt long. And then someone brought me to back to the same area, and then I sat there and someone finally came over to do the stitches. It was so much time. It was literally, I think it was like 3 something p.m. when I cut my finger with the glass. And then like the ambulance brought me, and it was probably a 20-minute drive for maybe 15 minutes, I don't know how long it was, to the hospital. And then once I went to the hospital, I was probably sitting there for 2 hours. So like probably 2.5 hours total before they actually stitched the finger. And then no one bothered to give me anything to wrap it in. I did my own towel. Like, who does that? What type of hospital is that? Like they don't even, oh, you need to wrap it in something else. Like they just, oh yeah, just keep the towel. Keep your towel that you brought. Like, why am I going to a hospital if I'm going to sit there that long and have my own towel to wrap my finger? It makes no sense at all. It just felt very weird. Like, I'm sitting there this whole time, like, okay, no one's going to give me a thing to wrap my finger in besides a towel that I brought. It's weird. And then I asked for water. No one gave me the water. I had to ask again at the end for someone to finally get me water. I'm like, this is ridiculous. And then they wanted me to they asked about tetanus shot, and I didn't want it. So then the person said, was trying to convince me to get it. I'm like, I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't feel comfortable injecting. I didn't say that I didn't feel comfortable, but that's the reason I don't want it. And have something in me that I don't, what are the side effects, Whatever the point is. And the doctor that did the actual stitching had an attitude. Like when I was getting the finger numbed, they poked the finger. See that little red dot? Right there? On the index middle finger? See that little dot below by the palm? Below the middle finger? That's where he injected the doctor or whatever injected the numbing material. But the finger wasn't numb fully when the doctor or whatever tried to stitch. And I said, I said, I can feel that. Like it hurts, not just pressure. So then he injected more, I guess, near the tip of the finger. So first he injected it there, and then he injected it at the top. Right there or something, but. And then the person's like, oh, close your eyes. And I'm thinking to myself, why would someone be putting a stitch into someone, not waiting until it's fully numb? And I'm like sitting there with the stinging pain of it. I'm sitting here the whole entire time in the hospital, no one doing anything for me. But then when they want to stitch, let's rush it, let's get it done fast. And I'm like, hey, if they're gonna wait, that's the time to wait. They should have waited for it to numb. But no, very weird. I don't understand that at all. I did not like being in the hospital. I don't think anyone likes being in hospitals, but I didn't like it at all. I regretted going. I would have went to an urgent care, but I didn't have a ride. I didn't have anyone that could bring me. And obviously, the vehicles that were there I couldn't use because the people that wanted to want me using them. And even if I could, it wouldn't have probably been best to do to drive with a cut finger. But the Ubering, I could have probably had an Uber, but who knows how long that would have took 15, 20 minutes maybe for the person to show up if they showed up at all. And then sometimes they cancel. So I thought the only option was to call the ambulance and stuff. I would have preferred to go to urgent care because they probably wouldn't have to deal with all the bureaucracy of the hospital type setting, you know. And then I'm getting the finger and stuff done, and you have this person on the other side coughing, and I'm like, how is that sanitary? They had a curtain thing up, but the point is, it's like, I felt very like, ugh. I'm like, I hope I don't get a disease being in this hospital. Sitting on the chair, I mean, even the table that they had, that he did, I mean, he covered it with something, but I'm thinking, did they even wipe the thing down? I mean, how many other people touched that before? I mean, it's just nasty. You know, they should be cleaning that every single time someone sits down and leaves. They should be disinfecting it. It's crazy. It's disgusting. I did not like that experience at all. You know, and when my finger was cut, it was not a normal. I knew like immediately it was not normal because it wasn't just like, oh, it kind of was. It was like I could tell it was blood was gushing, and it hurt. It was stinging enough that I knew, okay, this is not like a normal cut. And I don't remember when I put the dish away, I don't remember if it broke and then I held on to it too long, so that's why I cut my finger, or it cut me immediately when it broke. I don't know. But I wish I had it on video because then I could have looked at it and said, okay, now I see what happened. But the glass was very cheap, very, very cheap glass. It should not break that easily. I was not being aggressive with the glass, putting it away. I was being careful, and it broke. There's certain glass materials that you can buy that are very, very trashy. They just break too easily. Glass should not break that easily. It's ridiculous. Instead of this stupid video.